Welcome to CA Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda Garrett.
Hello and welcome to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda Garrett. With over 20 years of experience practicing family law, Linda and her firm offers a unique blend of traditional representation and unbundled legal services, custom tailored to the needs of the individual. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're going to kind of unpack Linda's unique dual approach to family law. Linda, so good to have you here. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. I'm privileged to be here, and I'm so excited to start this new journey with you and your team.
Absolutely. Well, let's start here. Tell us about your practice and the passion behind it. What brought you to focus on family law?
So initially, my goal was environmental law, and then I quickly learned that okay, I don't have a biology degree, a science degree, and I thought, okay, I can only take my English degree so far. So, but then I also had been through a divorce myself in my 20s, and I remember how great my attorney was, and we got our divorce done within a few months with grace, with elegance, and it was done quickly. And I said, oh, that's how all divorces are, right? So in family law, or when I was in law school, I started to think about other areas of law because I quickly realized environmental was not for me. And so I started working in a law firm in San Francisco under the tutelage of an attorney with lots of experience in family law. And that's where I quickly learned that there is a missing link, that family law is not just about dividing assets and debts, but it's also about realizing, like I did, and I get the chills as I say this, is that there's a lot of emotions involved. There's heartbreak, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's stress, there's panic. And because we're dealing with, and most attorneys don't seem to realize this, or judges, that we're dealing with a person's foundation of who they are, their housing, their pocketbooks, their pension, the children. And so I came to realize that I wanted to practice family law even more so, and that I realized there was more to it than what met the eye, which is what you see on TV, a table with attorneys and the parents fighting and the egos of the attorneys. And I said, there's got to be a better way. So that's kind of what started me on my secondary passion, of which is what I take pride in specializing. But that's to answer, as attorneys, we don't give short answers, but that's the best of my short
Okay.
answer for you.
It's a podcast.
It's a
You're not
podcast.
supposed to.
Right. Sorry.
That's okay. So continue. You have a different approach. You have kind of a like we said, a dual approach
Yeah.
to your services.
Yeah. And I know you have a script, and I'll do my best to follow along. But I guess the bottom line for me is, once I realized there was something missing, there was this thought of, can I provide coaching? And that word back in 2002, I've been practicing since 2001, never came up. It's like, of course you cannot do that. We are lawyers and we give advice, and that's our job. Here are my billable hours. And I just didn't resonate with that. I was a single mom, starting from scratch as a post-divorce woman, now starting her career in law. And I went to a weekend course with the Bar Association of San Francisco, and the specialty was called, at the time, limited scope representation. And that's kind of the old school of seeing it, where you can represent someone on one issue like custody, or you can represent them for a hearing. So let's say you, Kevin, you're happily married, but then God forbid something happens, and now you're now 60 years old. You got pensions, houses, cars, kids, blah blah blah, the whole thing. But you just can't afford to. The podcast is great, but it's just not going to bring you millions yet. Maybe tomorrow, but not right now.
If I'm 60, that's a problem. I've got bigger issues here, Linda.
Well, it's going to be a lot more when your ex-wife is now bringing in a new guy who's in his 30s who wants to play daddy to your kids. So we get those things. We actually do. So I lost my train of thought in the emotion there. But there's a lot of financial aspects to a divorce. And the challenges here is people tend to want to ask, well, how long will this take? How much will this cost? And I will say, till the day I retire or die, whichever comes first, is there. I can never answer that question because at the end of the day, Kevin, it really comes down to you and your spouse. And I'm kind of using you as my pretend
That's
client
fine.
here, if
That's
you don't
fine.
mind.
I'm a
Uh,
happily married man, so all is
and
well.
let's
You can
keep
use
it
me.
that way,
That's the
please. But
plan. That's the
in
plan.
our hypothetical world of the upside down world where
It's the
everything's the
upside down. Yeah,
opposite,
totally.
we're in the upside down. Yes, I am caught up on Stranger Things. I'm happy to say, waiting for the next season. And so I realized that people just cannot afford, even let's just say, think of Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie. They've been just in custody for years. And now their kids are aging out. 18, you're out of the system. The next one, 18, you're out of the system. And so that actually is more realistic to family law because I can't control Kevin. I can't control his wife. I can't control the judge. I can't control your wife's attorney. I can't control anybody. And so this concept of limited scope representation made some sense. So I signed up. I spent the weekend doing this entire seminar. They had contracts, they explained the concepts. But as time went on, and I've been doing this for over 20 years, is that it's not limited scope. It's more kind of unbundled services. And I think of unbundled like an umbrella. So normally Kevin says, I want to hire you. No, I need to hire you. And I listen to your story. Okay. How well do you guys get along? Oh, hate each other. Okay. Kids, how are they? Oh, they're fine. Oh, okay. I'm like, do you guys agree on anything? No, Miss Garrett, nothing. I said, okay. Well, we agree that we don't want the old car in the garage. That's something. Got it. But what I realize is unbundled services are more like the umbrella to the traditional services. And where that is that you pay a deposit anywhere from 5,000 to 25, depending where you live and your issues. And then the attorney and their staff do everything for you. We are essentially the restaurant that does the cooking, the shopping, the cleaning. You just sit down with your menu, you buy your stuff, it's served to you, you pay the bill. And that's kind of what traditional is kind of like if I was to use that analogy. But what unbundled is where you get to pick and choose what you want your help with. For example, you might be agreeing maybe on property division. So, well, let me coach that. Or you might say, but we don't get along. She wants to move away to New York with her 20-year-old boyfriend. Yeah, it happens, Kevin. Sorry to say that. It does happen. And she's now finding herself because she lost her youth being married and having lots of kids. And so you might say, well, can we represent me at least on the custody case? Sure. So that's a form of unbundled where we break up the services. We're unbundling the services, if you will. And so through the state bar, the San Francisco Bar Association, I learned about these concepts and they were unheard of at the time. And, oh, you cannot do that. But I've talked to a judge. I've checked with the State Bar of California. I've been doing this for now since 2002 on the unbundled side. And that's where my niche came in. Now, do I have clients? Sure, I do. I went to trial yesterday, but I distinguish between a want and a need. So, as you can see, I can talk about the subject forever. I know I'm going off topic, but
No, that's okay.
essentially what this does is that it just helps me tailor my services to what the needs are of my client and not what they think they want. Again, I'm the legal doctor, literally Juris Doctorate is what I am. So my job is to help you in the way you need the help. And for a lot of people, that they think the patient tells me, the doctor, here's what I need. And like, actually, you don't. I go, where are you on your divorce? Nothing's been filed. Okay, well, how about I help ghostwrite some documents to ensure they're done correctly? Well, I don't need that. I've got a paralegal or I can hire some service on the internet. I said, well, you get what you pay for because do you know what the definition is of separate property? Well, yeah, it's my 401k. It's my house. No. How long have you two married? 30 years. Well, guess what? It's not. And so do you know what data separation is? Oh, yeah. Just I don't talk to her anymore. No, we got to define those terms. So the ghostwriting that I do is another form of unbundled legal services is a very great aspect of what I do. And so what I tell people every day, practically, literally every day, they go to my website, they can schedule a 15 minutes with me, personally with me, and they're determined. They all say the same thing. Nope, I need an attorney. And by the way, I don't have very much or have no money. Let's not do that. And so then I say, well, let's try the unbundled or the coaching. And I'm sure Kevin would say, well, no, I need an attorney. But what I tell people is you can do coaching at the beginning phases of your case, answering questions, the millions, literally millions. what if, what now, then what, how to, about law, form, procedures, you name it. I can answer it, as well as all the questions you don't know to ask. I would ask or ask for you and answer for you. And so this has been going on now for, like I said, since 2002. And honestly, I think every attorney should be doing what I'm doing in family law. But the dirty secret is that attorneys will say, well, why would I do that, Linda? There's no money in it for me. And that's true. But here's the thing I've learned, Kevin, is when you go from a place of service. Ooh, I didn't mean to get emotional, but when you come from a place of service, you're doing this because you care and you're using your license for service. And the cool thing about that is when you do it that way, you get it back tenfold. My phones ring all the time because I get so many referrals from the courthouse, from other attorneys, from other clients. And then there are some folks that down the road. So let's just say I've been helping you, Kevin, through this process for the last year. Like, yes, because that's actually pretty fast, believe it or not. And we're now having a trial because now your ex-wife wants to move away with Guido to New York and start a donut shop with no money and no job. And so now you have a 3-day trial and you don't know what to do. And so that might be a discussion where I can then step into your shoes at that time. But then what's nice about that is that you've been doing it right all along. I've been helping you to keep your legal interests protected by giving you guidance all along. And hopefully by that point, you've saved the money to hire an attorney or me for your trial. So that's the beauty of what I do, is that I try to truly help people using my license for service. And as I tell people, I don't want to be an alcoholic. Busy attorneys are alcoholics. They're so busy. They're so stressed. And
Yeah.
I was actually at lunch yesterday after a trial that got canceled because the attorney and their client decided not to show up for a trial. Do you question, did the judge punish them? Option A, the judge did nothing. The judge punished the people, or the judge proceeded with the trial.
A.
Okay. That's right. The judge did nothing. And so here I am with my client in the courthouse, briefcase, all my trial equipment, the police officer, it was a domestic violence case, in the hallway waiting to be called. No show. And the judge says, well, there's got to be a good reason. And this man just paid thousands of dollars for me to prepare for a trial. That was such a waste of money. Oh, and that was heartbreaking, but he could see it wasn't us. But that's the normal in family law. So I'll stop there because I said a
Well,
lot.
I'm curious, like how when people come to you, do they lean more towards traditional or unbundled, or is it a mix? Like, how do you what do people prefer generally?
There is no preference. It's all
Okay.
the same. Miss Garrett, I need you. I need to hire an attorney. I need it now. That's the question, and that's the request.
Yeah.
Always. Because I'll say, do you know about unbundled? Unbundled what? What is that? Never heard of it. And besides, whatever it is, I don't want it. And I say, okay. So then I say, I have to educate them. I say, I don't know. I just have 20, this year, come 2025 in August, I'll have 24 years as family law attorney. I practice out of 14 courthouses and in 10 counties in the Bay Area. So I think I know a thing or two about how cases are. And from what you're saying, you've not filed anything. You don't even know what to do next. You don't need an attorney. You can try coaching, because if you hire an attorney, which they'll happily take your money to pay their next Maserati car payment, that's lining their pockets. And so it's pretty common. You would have said the same thing. I happen to live in the Bay Area. Great. I'll call Miss Garrett. I need an attorney. That's the common statement to me. Not even a question. It's an absolute statement that they need to hire me. And then I educate them. So then I do something where I say, well, treat me like a Costco appetizer. Just try 1 hour, just the one. And they say, they grumble and they grumble. And I say, well, just try it one time. And so do I get my money back? I said, no, because you got advice from me. They say, fair enough. Besides, you've now disqualified me in the chance Kevin, your wife, wants to hire me. I'm now disqualified. So they do the hour. And I'd say, statistically speaking, again, statistics based on probably thousands in the last 20 plus years, I'd say 80% of them fit into the coaching.
Wow.
80%.
That's a
The
lot.
other 20% is because either they really do need an attorney and like, oh yeah. And I go, yes, here's my contract. And the other, there's a very small percentage, and I'll say it this way. Not everyone likes olives. I'm not a fit for everybody, and that's okay. I don't take it personal. But a
Mm.
few people want what they want, no matter what you say, and they're very forward about it and direct. And I'm like, I don't think we're going to work out anyway. I don't say that, but I think it. But for the most part, that's how it works. Nobody expects it because I'm such a rare offering, if you will, in California. And so that's my normal, to expect them to not even know what it is, and for them to say, I don't want it, I don't need it. And we go from there.
How long have you been on your own, with your own practice?
Good question. I started in 2001 as an associate in a law firm in San Francisco. And I worked there doing family law, estate, probate, litigation. And before that, though, I was out of high school, even a legal secretary. And I was always fascinated with the law. And so I was in litigation at a major personal injury law firm called Walkup Downing, which is not what they're called now, but they were huge in the day. And I just learned wow, what, I don't want to say power, but just the power to make change, the power to help people. The attorneys would try to get more money. And I thought, oh, how greedy these attorneys are to try to get money. But no, these people were actually injured and they would need this money to last them till they died. And I never thought of it that way. So
Yeah, you see the commercials, you see the billboards, and you automatically have there's a reputation there. But yeah, when you really get into it, you're like, no, this is important. These people are messed up and they really need help.
Exactly. And so we see the perceptions on TV, but there's real stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And so when I saw that, I remember my boss, Ronald, I admired him. He was an airplane pilot for the Navy, stripes. He had all these awards. And I'd just be like, ooh. And I was really young at the time. And I just thought, oh, he's doing this for the money. But as time went on, I saw he was doing a service. And I was kind of like, my light bulb, okay. All right, I can see how it's different. And so when I was in family law, I could see how I could do things different. My boss at the time was like, "No, we just do things as we do." Linda, don't. My problem, he said, I was too connected to my clients. You got like a doctor, you've got to disassociate from them.
Right.
And one of my clients was this woman at the time. She was like 63 years old, and she had been married her entire life since she was like 18. Her entire life, a stay-at-home mom. And her husband decides in his late 60s have a midlife crisis. And this is a true statement. He meets a woman who's 21 at a nudist colony. He
That's
decided
very
this
young
is
and very specific.
yes, and this was his soulmate. And he now wanted to divorce from our client, and she had cataracts, and she was being forced by the judge to get a job. In her age of 63, cataracts in her eyes, and it was really heartbreaking to see this woman going through what she was going through. And I'd sit at the chair in front of my boss, and I'd complain about this case, and he'd say, "Linda, you can't worry about these clients. That's not our problem. We're here to just do a job." And I'd say, how do you disassociate from the emotions? He goes, "Oh, don't worry. You'll outgrow it. You'll build a hard shell. You got this." And have it. If anything, it's
Yeah.
more open.
Yeah.
So essentially, I worked there for a few years, and then I could just see that's not how I wanted to practice. And then I opened up my own practice in 2009 that's both virtual, because a lot of my clients are out throughout California, but also physical, where I have clients that I represent in the Bay Area, primarily right now, physically in Solano and in Napa. But I've practiced all over the Bay Area. But so that's just kind of how I started, because then I realized I just want to practice on my terms. And if I go down like the Titanic, doing it my way, then I did it, as Sinatra would say, I did it my way.
Yeah, you stay true to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, I stay true to myself and in integrity. And it's important to me at the end of the day, for all of us, Kevin, is to be authentic. And I feel we're missing that in our society, where everyone's pretending to be strong. And behind that facade, we are all hurting on some level. And so I try to do my best. And so these 15-minute consults, for example, that are scheduled through my website, as hard as it is for me, and it is hard many days like yesterday, I personally take those phone calls so they can hear my voice. I could hear them so they can know who I am. I do my best to integrate my intention of compassion and care as best I can. So that's why I opened up on my own, my way. And guess what? So far, it's been great. I love it.
Well, that's great to hear, and your passion is very you can sense it, you can feel it, and that's really cool. It's fun talking to you. It's fun listening to your stories. I'm looking forward to continuing these episodes. Thank you so much for tuning in to California Virtual Family Law Attorney with founder Linda Garrett. To connect with Linda, head to lindacgarrettlaw.com. And please like and subscribe to our channel. We're going to have some awesome content coming your way. Linda, so great having you here. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, and Kevin, thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.